This is Nick from the future. This video definitely feels way more like a podcast, so maybe just throw it on while you're driving and take a listen. Sorry for it being a little long. But yeah, enjoy, I guess.
I quit. I just spent the last 2 summers covering the Transition Factory Racing team, and this is why Mount St. Anne will be my last mountain bike race ever. So it's been a while, guys. I appreciate the 20 or 30 of you that have watched all my previous videos. This channel, as well as my Instagram, are going to be changing a little bit, quite frankly. Some of you may have listened to the interview I did with Vital Mountain Bike and Jack Rice, where I kind of described how I would be stepping away from filming downhill mountain bike racing. And that's true. This was a dream career for me. This was me stepping out of the corporate world to do my own thing, to follow a passion, a dream. I want to start by saying I'm glad I did it. And I think I got a lot of important life experiences out of it. And in doing it, I've learned what I need out of life and what I don't. I'm going to be breaking down for you the schedule, the pay, what it looks like to deal with failure, and risk. So, over the course of 2 years, I got the opportunity to travel to, I think it was 7 or 8 different countries. That's incredible. And when you describe this job to anyone, they ultimately focus on that. You get to see the world, and you really do. I've seen Austria, Scotland, Italy, France, Andorra, Spain, Germany. There's some incredible places that I've been. From March 18th of this year, all the way through until October 10th, I was covering different downhill mountain bike racing events. That's a long time. And as many of you in the industry already know, it's really hard to make extra living on the side when the racing season starts so early and ends so late. There's very few industries that will hire for such a short period of time to get some extra income over the winter. So, especially when it comes down to something like social media marketing and film production, a lot of building that business is marketing yourself, going to networking events, meeting people, being at the right place at the right time. And when you're covering mountain bike racing, you are forced to be at the races, and you can't network in your local community as well. You can't continue to foster healthy relationships at home that will ultimately build your business during the off season. Again, between March and October, in order to make this work financially up until this point in the year, I had to cover, I believe, 20 races, plus or minus travel time, this entire year. I live with my girlfriend. I have parents who are in their late 60s. I have lots of friends at home. And being gone for that long, it's really, really hard. I can't express enough how much I regret missing birthdays and family outings and Mother's Day and Father's Day and all the little date nights and things that I could have done while I was away. So if you're considering getting into this, I think that this life is built for people that do not have as much to leave behind at home. If you're young and you want to travel, it's for you. If you are ingrained in this industry already and your friends and family are traveling to these races, it's for you. If you're a mountain bike enthusiast and you love to ride, but you have friends at home and you have girlfriends, loved ones, partners, family that you want to see and be around, take a long look at what you want to do in this industry and why you want to do it. Because you can go to 1 or 2 races and still get an incredible experience without having to sacrifice that schedule. The second part about schedule is that when you're out there, you're not a tourist, you're not enjoying your time as if you were on vacation. You're working really hard. So this year I had the opportunity to focus, and it was intentional, only on one team, Transition Factory Racing. To do that effectively, you have to be awake before the riders and the staff, and you have to be working and finishing your edits the same night. So what that would end up looking like is waking up at 6 a.m. while you're traveling and going and hiking on the mountain to get all the riding shots that the team needs. Once you get off the mountain, you do all your interviews and you get right to editing. Sometimes you finish at 10 p.m., sometimes you finish at 1 a.m. But the deliverables and the demands that social media have are such that it has to be done same day. So as a perfect example, middle of the race season, Andorra, which was our world championship race. It was a Saturday race because there was also cross-country world champs. So August 25th, I flew to Montreal and then a connection to Toulouse. From Toulouse, I was responsible for picking up one of the team's rental cars. So I went and picked that up, and then I drove myself and Jack Rice to Andorra. When we got there, it was already time for track walk. So we pull up in Andorra, we hand off the van to our team manager, and we get straight on the lift. This is fresh out of roughly 12 plus hours of travel. We go straight to the top of the mountain, we film track walk, I come down, I interview people, and then I edit day one. It was then nonstop that entire weekend through Saturday. Sunday was teardown and then travel day to Loudenvielle, France. Loudenvielle, France, we had 1 day off, and then it is on again. 6 a.m., wake up, get ready for track walk. Then it's first day of practice, second day is qualifying, third day is race day, pack up day, and then you leave right away. Yes, the schedule is such that you get to see and be in a bunch of incredible countries. When you're there, you are at the venue. I didn't get to see all of France. I didn't get to see an incredible town in Andorra and go shopping and experience all those things. At most, if you follow me on Instagram, you would see that sometimes I'd finish editing soon enough to go and get a gelato or get dinner somewhere. But genuinely, that was the extent of the non-work related travel. Pay. So it varies between what team you're going to be working with, right, and their budget. However, the price range for film on a downhill mountain bike race team for World Cup stuff is anywhere from $3,000 per race up to $85,000 to $95,000 to cover the season. I was on the former of that, and there were 8 races, if you include World Champs. So the agreement that I had made in 2023 was for $3,000 per race. The team would cover my lodging and my food while I was there, barring any, me going out to dinners or anything like that that wasn't team related. However, I would be responsible for my airfare and travel expenses to get there. So you see how this works out, right? Let's say for 2 races, I make $6,000, okay? To get to those 2 races, just in airfare, it might cost me $900 to $1,200. Not to mention, if you've eaten in an airport, it's very easy to spend $150 a day per travel day. And then any incidentals you might need while traveling. So roughly I would net about $2,000 per event for the World Cup season. The initial agreement in 2023 was that price and that budget would go up for 2024. In this case, it didn't. The bike industry took a turn where companies wanting to invest in downhill mountain biking for purposes of marketing, the budgets weren't there. So they offered me the same amount for this year. And I was still very passionate about the project, the riders, and the idea of downhill mountain bike racing, so I took it. This year, there were 8 races if you include World Champs. That's $24,000 minus travel expenses. My rent is $870 a month. My health insurance is $500 a month. My car and other vehicle are roughly $600 a month. You can't live on $24,000 a year. You can't. Not where I live. I live just north of Philadelphia. It's not possible. So I ended up covering an entire 2 entire North American race series, one for another domestic team, and one I was covering for the event. For the team, I was covering the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Series. I was making $1,200 per race for that. At each one of those races, I was also bringing in probably $500 extra on other smaller clients, smaller individual riders, things like that. For the race series, similar situation for the other riders, but I was making $1,600 per event. Those I drove to every single one of them, and I either slept in my car or I bummed a bed or a couch with friends to keep budget down, but I probably spent overestimating $400 per race on expenses. Yeah, so before expenses, I roughly netted $39,000 this year. If you're coming into this thinking you're going to make a lot of money, you're not. I spoke with quite a few individuals covering very big name teams. And in fact, one of the newest, biggest teams, their media person was making less than me. They were getting paid in Canadian, and they were getting paid about $35,000 for the whole season, and they were expected to cover the national rounds and things like that. Because you need to pick up extra work on the side to be able to afford this. And really, the only other extra work that can be done while you're covering events like this is other events. So you end up missing important holidays, important life events, because you're trying to finance that. It really puts you in a tough position. If you're trying to get into this, what should you charge? If you're watching YouTubers online that are talking about corporate pricing for media and how you should be charging your day rate as a camera operator, then as an editor and as a production manager and things like that, the mountain bike industry flat out does not understand that. No one, and I mean this, no one in the downhill mountain bike racing industry is going to pay you that. You're not getting it. Good rule of thumb is you would make $250 to a third of what you would charge for a normal production to film at downhill mountain bike racing. In addition to filming, though, you are editing. Sometimes you're doing the social media posting. You're doing all of the interviewing. You're doing all of the pre-planning, pre- and post-production planning. Let's say your budget would have been $10,000 for a weekend to film a 5-minute documentary series installment for a brand. You can expect to get about $1,200 to $2,000. If you don't have a lot of bills and the dollar amounts that I just read off to you are not that upsetting, and you want to be connected to this sport and this industry, it's for you. Being in it for 2 years now at the World Cup level and 7 years total, the people that are thriving in this are under 24 or over 45 and have enough money either through a spouse or through family that they don't rely on this for their livelihood, and or they just haven't started families yet. At any given moment, there are, say 10 men and 10 women in the world or in your race series that are doing well. The vast majority of the time, you are going to be living with, interacting with, filming, producing content with and for riders and teams that are not performing how they want to be performing. That adds so much extra stress and pressure that you don't think about. And this is a sport that takes a lot from people. And every once in a while, it gives you a little hit of dopamine from a win or an Instagram post that goes viral, and you can ride that excitement. You can ride that excitement for a little bit. But ultimately, this sport teaches you how to deal with failure and deal with it constantly. And it's really, really hard to watch people that you care about destroy their lives and deal with failure and make poor decisions. It is. I had to watch friends, riders, managers pour every single part of them into this sport and get nothing in return. Riding bikes are fun. You can have fun, you can create media, you can travel and make money in the industry without racing. I love Win Masters, and he's had an incredible downhill racing career. He absolutely has. But right now he's making a living because he is posting to social media, because he is doing brand awareness and brand activation events at every event that he's at, because he is adding value to the sponsors that promote him and support him. Burn Peak is just a dude at his house who makes videos about mountain biking. Remy, he wanted to race, he tried to race, couldn't cut it, so he just shreds, and that is his income. Jordan Boostmaster. These are the people that are making a living off of mountain biking, and YouTube and media creation absolutely has its stressors and its pressure to perform and to continue to chase those views, but I can assure you that the risk involved and the failure involved is not as constant. As someone who has created content for years, it is stressful, but it is not as stressful as being constantly disappointed by not winning or not performing how you thought you would, or by winning one in the early season and then following it up with failure throughout the rest. It makes me really sad to watch. And part of the reason I'm stepping away is because I love those people and I wish them the best, but I can't watch them continue to choose failure. I can't. I think they're going to do incredible things, and I hope they do incredible things. But the moment they start doing incredible things, someone else that I know and care about from the industry will start failing or not doing incredible things, and it's just never ending. Similarly, the risk involved with injury. A lot of the racers are kids and like really nice people. And watching them, even if it's voluntarily, risk life and limb every single day while you're out there is so stressful. In the 7 years that I've done this, I don't think I've known a single season without someone I know personally getting severely injured. 2024 was the first time I was at a race when a friend and acquaintance passed away during a race. And I'm not willing to be around an industry that glorifies that type of risk. This is a dangerous sport, and there is nothing worse than getting a radio or a phone call or a text that one of your close friends is injured. There's also the risk to you. There's no income if you get injured and you are walking around the mountain with 50, 60 pounds of gear that also costs thousands and thousands of dollars. So you have to have insurance for your own health. But then also, if you get injured, you don't get paid. You miss races, you miss events, and you potentially damage your equipment in falls. As an example, the very first race of the season, I fell. Luckily, I was not injured, but I damaged my camera. And that was a $1,200 fix, and I needed another camera in the interim, so I purchased the second camera body. That was pulling directly out of my savings. This is just a sport that continues to take and take and take, and I respect anyone's decision to chase a dream. I did it, and I loved that I trusted myself enough to do it. I just want to be as honest as possible with people hoping to get into it and maybe expecting what they see on Instagram, which is happy faces and incredible, breathtaking events and scenery. And yeah, you get a little bit of that. But underneath it is a lot of incredibly troubling facts. So that was a really sad YouTube video, and I'm sorry if you watched the whole thing. I'm sure there's more to say on it. I'm going to do as minimal editing as possible because, quite frankly, I'm over this. I love you guys. The people in the biking industry have been nothing but incredibly friendly to me, welcoming, compassionate, and kind, and I appreciate you. It's been real. I'll continue to post on YouTube, but it's going to be different content, and it's only going to be stuff I enjoy. So, see ya. Good luck.